Okay, people, let's do this one last time. I'm T,
And I'm Nessa.
and together we are the Casual Fangirls. Just your friendly neighborhood gals hailing from the illustrious, incomparable Brooklyn, New York. Here to discuss everything fandom. That's what we do. And today, in particular, we are excited to discuss Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So excited to talk about this, just like everyone else is on the internet right now. Before we jump into that, though, I want to do some catching up. Haven't spoken to you in a while. We've been doing some things. Nessa, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, girl, I gotta tell you. So I went to my first fan expo. So
Mm-hmm.
it's basically like a Comic Con, but I'm probably gonna say it's probably smaller, but similar concept. They just call it's the Dallas Fan Expo 2023. And so I actually went out there because I saw Shamik Moore was gonna be there signing autographs. He did a panel. Rosario Dawson was also there. Now y'all know I'm not a Star Wars fan, but the Ahsoka trailer got me interested. So I was like, okay, let me pull up and see what she's talking about. So I got an autograph from Shamik Moore. I got a picture. I got to see the Rosario Dawson panel. Walked around, looked at all the artwork, spent too much money on merch. What is this T-shirt?
I like it. I like it.
Shamik complimented. I'm calling him Shamik now because I met him once. Uh, and so it was a really good time. It was fun. It was a lot of walking around, a lot of great costumes. Of course, all the spider people got together and did the pointing meme. And so that always got everybody so amped up. And so that was fun. It was a really, really cool experience, especially for like my first time doing something like that.
Yeah, love it.
What about you, T? What you been up to?
I also went to a fan expo,
Tell the
which was
people.
my first event of this kind, just like you. I went to the Philly Fan Expo, which was a week before yours, and was overwhelmed. There, so I got like the all days pass or whatever. So I went on Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday I like got up, got dressed, and put on my backpack because I let me bring my laptop just in case I want to like take a break somewhere, and left my house at 10, and I was back in bed by like 1:30, 2 o'clock because it was just too much.
Hmm.
It was it was too much. Everything you said, Shamik was there at mine also. I hadn't seen Spider-Verse yet though, so I didn't like feel the need to like go see him. Um, but I did like glimpse the actress who plays Ginny Weasley. Jodie Benson was there, the original Ariel, Little Mermaid. We talked a lot about the new Little Mermaid as well.
Mhm.
I saw Kingpin and
Charles
Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Yeah. I saw Doc and Marty were there as well from Back to the Future. Couple of
Really?
yeah, I didn't tell you that. They even had
No.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they were there. They even had like a Back to the Future car that you can like a
The DeLorean?
yeah, is that what it's called? I'm
Yeah.
so bad.
Mind you, I'm getting all hyped up. Everybody's gonna revoke my nerd card because I'm getting all hyped up. I've never even seen the movie like that. But it's still like
Yeah.
exciting because Rick and Morty is based on them. So didn't know that, yeah.
I never put that together.
Yeah, Rick and Morty is based on them.
They had a DeLorean virtual reality ride, I think, there, and like one you could just like take pictures in. So it was fun. I
Yeah.
saw your potato dude. What's his name? Samwise. So I
Potato.
sat on one of yeah, I sat on one of his panels and stuff. It was a good time. The
Yeah.
thing I will say though is that a couple of things. It was amazing to be in a space where there were so many people just being their geeky selves.
Yeah.
I loved every moment of that. I loved all the costumes. I loved all the complex costumes, like all of the stormtroopers I saw. There was like a million of them
What was your
walking around.
favorite one? Or some of your favorite ones that really stuck out?
The Matt Murdochs were like really good.
Really? I didn't.
There were a couple of people who showed up with like the glasses and the stick because Matt Murdoch is
They didn't
blind.
do Daredevil. They did
No,
Matt
they did Matt Murdock
Murdock.
as the lawyer. And every
That's
time I
cute.
saw someone walk by, I was like, wait, is that him? Is that him? They did the haircut, they did everything. It was great.
That's good.
That one I think I enjoyed a lot. Obviously a lot of Spider-Man, which is always fine. But yeah, just how comfortable everyone was. It was really cool to see like couples with their like tiny babies there. I would never do it, but it does say something to like the couple being like neither one of them wants to miss this, and so we will strap our baby on and go to this big convention hall with a million people. Who cares about COVID, right? I will say though that it is a marathon, not a sprint. And so I should have looked at the schedule before I got there and said, well, what things do I want to see and only show up for those events and then save all the shopping and all the browsing for Sunday when it was quieter because Saturday got way too crazy. But I'm definitely going again next year.
Yeah, I definitely have to say that was the best piece of advice you gave me because I just sat there and I was like, okay, well, who do I want to see? What are they doing? What panels do I want to sit for? And then, okay, let me plan around that so that I'm not popping up at 10 a.m. But then, like, Shamik Moore doesn't get there till 1, but then you're standing in line for 2 hours. So, I mean, yeah, I would definitely like advise anybody if you're going to your first Comic-Con, Fan Expo, look at the schedule, see who you're really trying to be there for, and then pull up on that day, those days, those times. Save your coins because trust and believe your eyes are going to be glued to everything. There are so many incredible artists, so much good merch, like things you don't need. like
I spent close to $300.
Jeez, I didn't even, to be honest with you, I didn't add up how much I spent, but I would say probably between the autograph, the picture, and the stuff, probably close to 300. Because let me tell y'all, if y'all don't know, to get Shamik Moore, a picture with Shamik Moore was $60. To get something autographed was 70. I think if you have a big item, it's like 85 or something like that, 80, $85. So already just to see this one man, I spent 130. Then there was like I bought t-shirts, I bought coasters, I bought a bottle opener. Like, I was so tempted to get posters and artwork and so many things. But I had to restrain myself. So yeah, like think about what you want to spend, what you're really looking to get, who you want to see, wear comfortable shoes,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So it was fun and respect each other, y'all. I love seeing the signs that were like cosplay is not consent, and I was just like,
Ooh.
I appreciate that because let's be honest, right? A lot of these anime characters, especially the female characters, a lot of these cartoon characters do wear revealing things, and that is a person's choice to dress that way, and that is up to them. But that does not mean like, hey, yo, you can pull up, you know. So respect each other, respect people's space, and enjoy, enjoy it.
Yeah, I bought a pencil drawing of Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but I got it. So,
I love that for you. I love that
anyways,
for you. Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so now let's jump into what we really came here to talk about, right? Across the Spider-Verse. So before we get into the cast and director, we have to mention that opening box office hit about $208 million worldwide, people. That's almost like 3 times the amount that Into the Spider-Verse did their opening weekend,
really?
which is crazy to think about. Yeah, people really, because it's such a beloved movie, people don't really realize that it didn't make all that much, but word of mouth spread around, and then it did end up grossing a lot. But that opening weekend, but of course, had to do it big and bad for the sequel. The film sits at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes and 9 out of 10, and the 11th highest rated movies of all time on IMDb. That's crazy.
As of today. Yeah, when I looked that up, I was like, interesting.
That's crazy and well deserved. Uh,
Mhm.
Needless to say, the film is a box office hit, right? Across the Spider Verse is directed by Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson. Shamik Moore and Haley Steinfeld return to voice Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, respectively. They are joined by Oscar Isaacs as Miguel O'Hara, Daniel Kaluuya as Spider Punk, Jake Johnson as Peter B. Parker, Issa Rae as Spider Woman, and Jason Schwartzman as the Spot, amongst a million other people, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, we've waited 5 years for this film. COVID put a couple things off, but we waited 5 years for this film. So without further ado, let's kick off our spoiler free first impressions of the movie. T, take me back. Tell me what you were thinking. Tell me how you felt about it. Talk to me.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So, I thought, again, this is spoiler free, so I thought it was beautiful visual storytelling. Chef's kiss. It was, and to be honest, I only saw Into the Spider-Verse, the first movie, in theaters when it came out, and I haven't watched it since then.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot how good just being in the Spider-Verse, I guess pun intended, felt. And it was just so good. So this is the first time in a long time I like can't wait for a movie to come out on video so I can watch it again.
Mm.
And really so I can study it, study all the nuances, study all the things that I missed just watching it once in the theater. I'm pissed at how it ended because I was really into it and ready to keep going.
Yeah.
And honestly, like even though I knew going into it was supposed to be a two-part thing, where it stopped, like I wasn't in a theater long enough for me to be ready for it to be over. Like I'm used to 3-hour movies now, and this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes ish. There was enough time for 45 minutes of action to happen right after that, and I would have sat there and watched all of it. So that's why I was like, wait, they're stopping it here? I still got 45 minutes left in me.
Very true.
But in any event, I'm definitely going to buy my ticket for the next one as soon as tickets are available. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. What about you?
So I've seen the movie twice. I went to go see it twice in theaters. Like you, I hadn't seen Into the Spider Verse, I think, since like it came out. And to be honest with you, like it's not because it wasn't a good movie. It's not because I didn't love it. It's because it wasn't nowhere on streaming for free. To be honest, like, and so I went to go see Across the Spider Verse in the theaters opening weekend, and then I went home and I rented Into the Spider Verse on Prime Video because I was like, man, I want to go back because they were referring to the first movie a lot, so I really wanted to go back and kind of rewatch and see like the seeds that they really did lay out. And I was like, man, I need them to put this on streaming for free so I can watch it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I hope they do so soon, but I don't know. Who knows? But like you said, I have to reiterate: beautiful, beautiful, visually very beautiful. The themes, all the emotional beats that were hit. Oh my god, I loved it. Like every other scene felt like I need this poster in my house. Like I need
Mm,
this.
it's oh, wait, I can't say it because we're in the spoiler-free portion of it, but when we get to the spoiler part, there's a yes.
Was it in the trailer? If it was in the trailer, say it.
I don't remember.
Okay. We'll get to it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I thought they did a masterful job in making every universe, every Peter Parker, every Spider person feel and move differently. Like
Mhm.
when I saw some of the behind the scenes where it was like, hey, like animators breaking it down, where it's like Spider Punk moves on the 3 and Miles Morales moves on the 2. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, so
Mhm.
it's just even the way they swing around. There's
Mhm. Different.
yeah, like the way Gwen looks with her ballerina gracefulness versus the way Spider-Man India looks, right? Where it's like very much flex feet. It feels like Bollywood dancing throughout the city. And I was just like, y'all are genius. Like the movie, y'all, the movie is so good. Please go
Yeah.
see it. Um, although the movie is long, you sit there and you're like, like you said, nah, I could. Where's the rest of it? Where's the conclusion? you know,
To be fair, it's long for an animated movie.
it's long for. I mean, we live in a new world, right? Where it's like
Fair,
the
fair.
2 hour movie is the new norm. Kind of like when you think about songs, like the 2 minute, 2.5 minute song is like the new standard. If you get a
I
song that's 5
miss
minutes now,
I miss a good bridge
if
on a
you
song.
yes, if you get a song that's 5 minutes now, you're like, bro, what? So we do live in a new standard in terms of movies. Um, Unlike you, I didn't know that it was 2 parts. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know where I missed that, but I did not know. Not that I didn't think it wasn't going to be a trilogy, but like I
Mhm.
thought it would be like the first movie where it'd be this kind of
An
conclusive,
ending.
yeah, this like conclusive ending, and then we would move on to like the next part of the story. I didn't really,
We're still being spoiler free.
yeah.
Remember. Okay.
So I didn't realize it was this to be continued kind of thing. So when it happened, I was like, what? I was like, what is going on? So it was a great time. Needless to say, it was a great time. Some fat could have been trimmed off of the movie, in my opinion, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it overall.
That is fantastic. So now we're going to get into the actual spoilers.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the film. We're going to talk about how we felt about it. We're going to give you an overview of the main plot points and then kind of just jump around like the Spider Verse does and talk about the things that we want to talk about. So before we get in that, here's your spoiler warning.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to talk about Across the Spider Verse. I forgot the name of the movie for a second. Across the Spider Verse. We will absolutely be talking about Into the Spider Verse as well. We will be doing predictions about what's going to happen in the next movie. And I guarantee you, every single Spider person story is up for grabs for being spoiled right now.
Yeah.
So if you, whatever, I don't know how else to warn you. So just, you've been warned, spider stuff.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right, guys. So the film opens with Gwen having a tough time adjusting to life without Miles in her dimension, where her dad blames Spider Woman, Ghost Spider, Gwen Spider, Spider Gwen, however you want to name her, for the death of her best friend, Peter Parker. She fights the Vulture from another dimension and is saved by Spider Woman, Jess Drew, and Miguel O'Hara. Her dad decides he wants to turn her in even after finding that out that she's his daughter. And Spider Woman and Miguel decide to take her to the Spider Society. The Spider Society was set up to maintain order in the multiverse. Meanwhile, Miles is adapting to becoming Spider Man. He's missing Gwen, dealing with the death of his uncle Aaron, and learning to balance life as a superhero with his private life. On his way to a parent teacher meeting at his school, he runs into the Spot, a villain indirectly created by Miles after he threw a bagel at him in Alchemex, and his body is infused with portals after the collider explodes. Spot explains that the spider that bit Miles came from another dimension. The Spot learns to use his portals to travel to other universes with colliders in order to power up. Gwen travels to Miles's universe to catch the Spot, but when he disappears, she heads back to Mumbatin. Every time I say that word, I'm like, which is basically like a play on Mumbai or
Manhattan.
Manhattan,
Yeah.
with Miles right behind her. We meet. Oh, how do you spell? Do you know how to say his name?
Nope.
Okay, so we meet Spider Man India and OB Brown, aka Spider Punk. They team up to fight the Spot, who escapes after absorbing the power of that world's collider. Spot and Miles share a vision of Miles' dad dying after being promoted to captain. Miles stops a canon event from happening in Mumbai, which leads to the world disintegrating. Everyone heads to the Spider Society, where we learn in each universe, Spider people must deal with the tragic canon event. For example, Uncle Ben dying, the police, a captain, or a best friend dying. It's also revealed that Miles is an anomaly. The spider that bit him was never meant for him, which led to the death of his Peter Parker in his universe. Miles decides he needs to save his dad, but Miguel ain't having it. Miles escapes and Gwen is banished to her universe, but something's not right. Miles actually ends up in the universe his spider is from, Earth 42, a universe with no Spider-Man. Miles is captured by the Prowler, who is then revealed to be dun dun dun. That universe is Miles. Say what? Gwen makes up with her dad and gets a crew together consisting of Peter B, Mayday, Spider-Man India, Hobie, Margot, aka Spider-Bite, Spider-Man Noir, Penny Parker, and Spider-Ham. And they all join together to help Miles. And that's
And
the
that's where
movie.
the movie ends.
Yes, and that's where the movie ends. um, okay. So I first wanted to jump into talking about canon events,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so basically, canon events are things that happen in a story that are part of that story's history. Like, this will always happen, this has happened, this needs to be part of the story in order to be considered true to the story.
I would amend that by
Mhm.
saying that I think a canon event is an event that is essential to the identity of the individual. Like Peter Parker doesn't become Spider-Man unless Uncle Ben dies,
Right.
because of the whole the motivation that Uncle Ben gives him on his his last couple of breaths or whatever. Same thing with Aunt May
Mhm.
and the MCU Spider-Man. That is how they turn into Spider-Man, right? And so I would say that, and similar to, I know you have here What If and Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
with the What If series that we saw in the MCU,
Yeah, bring it up.
that Doctor Strange was trying desperately to save Christine, not realizing that Christine's death was the thing that caused him to become Doctor
Right.
Strange, the superhero. So if you stop that from happening, then you blow everything to bits.
Right.
So to me, canon events are things that have to happen um in order to encourage or be the catalyst for the identity that is that person. Like, for example, Batman. Does Batman ever become Batman if his parents don't die?
Right. That is the question, right? Um
Yeah.
and so, but I think that's a almost like a bigger storytelling question. Like, does, especially that we see in these superhero movies, does someone actually have to die for this person to become who they are? Because when we meet Spider-Man India, right, he's like, oh, being Spider-Man is so easy. Oh my gosh, I wake up, I don't even have to work out. My hair just looks like this. And that's because he hasn't experienced a big tragedy yet. And so in his world, his girlfriend's father, who is the police captain, is supposed to die saving a child, which we see a lot in Spider-Man stories. And
Hmm.
so Miles actually ends up interrupting that, which causes what kind of looks like an incursion, or like we said in What If, when the world starts to collapse on itself, and all the other spider people have to come down and try to repair it, and they're like, maybe we can, maybe we can't. So I kind of want to ask you, because we also kind of had this conversation when in No Way Home, and spoiler alert, Aunt May dies, and we're
Hmm.
like, did that really need to happen for?
So after I saw Spider-Verse, I did think about the MCU. And to me, Aunt May was Uncle Ben, but Tony was the captain
Okay.
that he was close to that died. So those two deaths leading to the Spider-Man that we know that the MCU Spider-Man is leading up to be, does make sense to be the canon events that put him on that path. I'm playing fast and loose with making Iron Man captain. It would have made more sense if he was closer to actual Captain America, and that way Captain America dies or he leaves, and
Yeah.
that's the captain, and whatever. But I say all that to say that I do think that the MCU Spider-Man is doing the canon events as well.
Yeah. And I mean, but my thing is like, so when I was watching this, right, we find out that Miles is an anomaly. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows it.
Mhm.
And so, meaning that his spider was not meant to be in his dimension, it was not meant to bite him, he was not meant to be Spider-Man of that world. So, with
Mhm.
knowing that information, does that actually make his dad dying a canon event? Does that need to happen? And I feel like we've seen stories where we don't need multiple people to die who are close to Peter. So, do we need that? Here, his uncle is already gone. Like, do we need to give up the daddy too?
So, my gut says no, that his father does not need to die.
I agree.
And because if and I'm trying really hard to not, like, pull out my whiteboard right now and, like, do the math, but, um, 42 Miles was always going to lose his dad because he was supposed to be Spider-Man.
Hmm.
What's the other one? 1610 Miles, our Miles, um, was never supposed to lose his father due to a Spider-Man thing because he was never supposed to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So why would his father need to die in this one is my question. The other thing I was thinking about too is the whole idea of like the uncle, like his uncle Aaron, our Miles's uncle Aaron dies. But if I remember correctly, that happens not because he became Spider-Man, right? Like,
It does.
is it that that would have happened anyway, or
No, because what it was the Prowler was working with Kingpin, and
Mhm.
so he's actually hunting down Miles. And that leads him to like all the other Spider-Men who kind of came through and everything like that. And so him and Miles are on the roof, and Miles is like, "Hey, yo, like, Unc, what's up?" And so that causes the Prowler to hesitate. And when Kingpin sees that the Prowler hesitates, Kingpin kills the Prowler.
So, didn't remember that, so thank you for that. But I would argue that regardless if the Spider-Man was Miles or not, the Prowler would have been looking for Peter Parker, and it's possible Peter Parker would have took out his uncle anyway. You see what I'm saying? And it ties into the fact that when you look at the clips from when Miles Morales first sees Peter Parker and his like spider senses go off. Did you see those clips where it's
Yeah.
like purple and yellow
Red
or whatever it is?
Storm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Suggesting that Miles might have been the Prowler, might was supposed to be the Prowler in that universe, in 1610 universe, if he didn't get bit. That kind of makes sense to me too, because if his uncle dies at the hands of Spider-Man, Miles taking up the mantle to like avenge his uncle's death and turn into the Prowler is not a far-fetched story for me to believe.
That's an
You see what I'm saying?
that's an interesting theory. I didn't read it that way. My read was, or my takeaway was that he's just more aligned with his uncle, right? Like he feels this distance with his dad, but there's this closeness with his uncle that he has. There's this openness that he has. There's this I can be myself around Uncle Aaron. And so I didn't necessarily take it as like, oh, he could eventually become the Prowler. I just saw it as, hey, that's my family. I love him. We rock together.
I'm only saying that because of
But I
that
like
that
it.
visual
Yeah, no,
thing. Yeah.
no, no. Like I like it. I mess with it. Like I
Yeah.
actually I think that's a great spin on it. It's not how I read it, but I actually really like that. That had things gone differently, it's a possibility that he could have. Yeah, I mean, why not? That would have been interesting storytelling. I would have been here for it. But yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't feel like his dad dying necessarily has to be a canon event. I think Miguel might be jumping the gun here. I don't know. I don't know. I think he might be misled. Like we're not taking into account that he's an anomaly. Does this actually really have to happen here? Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever really find out. Well, I guess we will find
I mean, we
out.
will.
We will.
We will. I have some theories about what might happen in the next movie as well, but we'll get to that later.
I do too. Anything else you want to say about canon events? And
No, just that I'm glad they took the time to talk about it a little bit more because we haven't heard it in a while.
hmm
Um, and especially with like I know Sony is separate from the MCU, right? And like they're doing this thing where they're like lightly borrowing things from each other's like whatever. But we saw obviously MCU characters in this movie, so this movie is incorporating the MCU into it.
We would
We see Aaron Davis. We see Childish Gambino. I mean,
Childish
Donald Glover as
Gambino.
Aaron Davis. He's in the MCU. We know that Miles exists in the MCU.
You could play with that one because yes, he's Aaron Davis in the MCU, but he never becomes the Prowler in the MCU. So we don't really know if he's quote unquote from the MCU. Uh there's Yeah, I would say there's no real explicit outside of that because we have to
But
understand
they also mentioned Doctor Strange and Tom
that's
Holland.
okay. That's the
Yeah.
reference. I don't know if I would put Childish Gambino's Donald Glover's Prowler in with the MCU mentions, but definitely when they're like, oh, that nerd and and that sorcerer doctor from Planet 199999,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And of course we
And we know that Miles exists in the MCU as well.
he
We've never
does.
seen him, but he does exist in the
He's
MCU.
mentioned when
Right.
Aaron Davis is like, I got a nephew who lives here. Like, don't do that.
No, but even in a deleted scene, you see Donald Glover call Miles on the phone.
Right.
Mhm.
So he's referenced as to being around, but I just don't know if that Prowler is the same as the Donald Glover from No Way Home. I mean, not No Way Home, from Homecoming and all that.
Why would they do that?
Because this a multiverse. He could be from somewhere else. That don't mean
He
he's
could be
the.
you mean he could be a prowler from a different
Yeah, that's what I'm
oh, I see what
saying.
you're
I
saying.
don't know if it's
Okay.
that one because we never see that Aaron Davis become the Prowler. So
The prowler, yeah.
we don't quite know, but they always have to throw a Childish Gambino in there anytime that we're doing Miles Morales because he is the inspiration behind the look and everything like that. If y'all don't know the story, go look it up.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. So the Spider Society. Who did you? We get to Nueva York, right?
Was that train going to the moon?
It was going to the moon, honey. That train was going to the
Okay.
moon.
Because I was like, this is going up for a while now. Like we've been sitting here 10 minutes watching this train go up.
Yeah.
But
The train was going to the moon. Who did you enjoy seeing at the Spider Society when we get there?
um I think the obvious breakout star of the spider people that we see is Hobby, right? Loved him. Couldn't understand what he was saying at first. Had to adjust my ears
Yeah.
for his
All right, bruv.
accent. Yeah, his accent and everything like that. I definitely was just like, she left her toothbrush and her chucks at his house. Or, no, he was like, "Are those my chucks?" I was like, "What's going
They
on?
smashing. Oh,
What is this?
they go together
What is
real
this?
bad.
Real bad."
They-
Loved him. I don't think, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not like a huge Spider-Man person, and like I didn't know what to expect. I'm sure that there was plenty of neat things that I missed because I'd never read the comic books or anything like that. It was just nice to see all different iterations and know in the back of my brain that all of these different iterations, someone in the audience can identify because they've seen it somewhere else. Like that I thought was really, really cool.
I think for me at first it was a bit overwhelming because it's like
Just a lot.
there's so many of them. But then my second thought was like, y'all are evil geniuses because of course everyone's gonna buy the DVDs, the Blu-rays. They're all gonna spend their money because they're going to want to watch and freeze frame and rewatch a million times to see who's in here.
It took them 4 years to do that scene.
Yes, you would. That's wild.
It is.
And then they also said it took like 2 or 3 years to get Spider-Punk, Hobie Brown correct. Like to get him
yeah,
down,
because
it took about 2 or 3 years to do.
the animated him, they like animated his jacket at a different like frame rate than like it was giving me like seizure vibes, honestly. It was too much. It was too much on the big screen. I could barely see his face. It was just too much. But I liked it.
Yeah, I have to say I too loved Hobie. I thought he was great. Like his one-liners throughout everything was amazing. It's like, oh, you ready to hop in the war, but you don't even know what team you want. And I was like, ooh. He's like, why don't you just make your own watch? And then to like go back and realize then that as he's pulling all these things, as he's walking through the spice, oh, they're not gonna miss that. I'm gonna just take this. He was making his own watch. I said, oh my God. That was amazing. That baby's an anarchist.
That definitely threw me because I saw when he threw the watch at them when he said I quit.
Yes.
But then how did he get a watch to leave for Gwen if is he not like not still running around Gwen's universe?
He was never in Gwen's universe. He was
So how did he get the watch to Gwen?
because I guess he made it himself, traveled, and he probably made multiple. Who knows how many he
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, he would have to make more than one. Yeah.
who knows how many he actually has. To be honest, because it looks like he's been stealing from the Spider Society this whole time. And then when he meets Mayday, he's like, the baby's an anarchist. And he's like, taking a dump on the system. I love you. I thought he was great. And he's the one who tells Miles to use his palms, right? When he's using his venom bite, he's like, man, use the palms. And ever since then, Miles is using the palms. And he was great because when all them other folks who was supposed to be his friend, I'm talking about you, Gwen, I'm talking about you, Peter B, turned on him, this man who don't even know him, a fellow brother who don't even know him, is out here having his back way more than quote unquote his bestie and his mentor is supposed to be. So I was just like, 10s across the board. Spider-Punk, I love the design. I loved everything about him. Daniel Kaluuya, mwah, thank you. Thank you.
Can we talk about two things? One, the fact that it was two Black Spider people that helped Miles escape. We're not gonna just brush over that. Like the camaraderie in that was chef's kiss.
Solidarity.
Loved it.
Solidarity.
Loved it. She was like,
also,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother. And I also really enjoyed how like the spider people just like dealt with Mayday. Like there was even a point when Mayday was like climbing all over Miguel, and he was just like not even breaking a sweat, just like, this is a kid, whatever.
I love Mayday. But also like when Spider Bite and Miles kind of have the little Spidey senses together, I was like, ooh, I feel energy here. And I like it. And I want some more of it. Even though she's like just basically an avatar plugged in. Which made me kind of think of Wall-E when all those people are just like on the ship. I was like, okay, so she's just plugged in the metaverse, like
she's in the Matrix, just like Neo.
Yeah, I guess. I think the Spider Cat, that was fun to see when it coughed up the web hairball kind of thing.
The Lego Spider-Man. The Lego Spider-Man was dope.
Lego Spider-Man. And
you're one of the best we have.
And even the story behind that, right? The fact that they hired this 14-year-old Black kid who got noticed for turning the teaser into a Lego animation. They're like, man, we need you, and hired him to do a scene. Like that's so awesome.
Did the Spider-Man scene. That's great. Yeah,
that's amazing. I love that for him. That was dope to see. How did you feel about Just Drew, voiced by Issa Rae?
I thought the voicing was nice. You know, it was great. I thought Issa Rae did great as a voice actress in this. I don't think Just Drew did a whole lot
at all.
I don't think they did as much as I was expecting her to do for the way that they hyped her.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
I think she could have done more.
Also, I would never want her as my mentor. Pass. Hard pass. Because she was like, well, if you can't get the job done, I can't help you. I'm like, girl, if you don't, what you mean?
I wish I knew more about her backstory as to like why she's like that. Because it doesn't feel very Spider-Man-like to me.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It really doesn't. And I was very disappointed about it. I was like, that's trash. Anyways. Also,
who would you want as a mentor then?
I mean, here's the thing, right? Hobie's on the right track because I feel like Hobie can set you up to think for yourself, to use your critical problem solving skills and do all the things. But also, if I need you, are you picking up the phone? Like, I don't, I don't know about that. I think Peter B does a pretty solid job. Um, Dang, I think that's the only like folks I know enough about to really put my trust in, to be honest. What about you?
Give me Miguel. Here's the thing,
Please tell
right?
me. Yes.
Give me Miguel because Peter B, I like my mentor to like not also be figuring out what I'm trying to figure out at the same time. That's something I like in a mentor to like they have already
Shade.
figured out the thing that I'm trying to figure out.
Shade.
That's one. Two, Hobie is fantastic and he will set you up for like really thinking on your feet.
Mhm.
Um, but he feels very like Jack Sparrow esque. Like you don't know if he'll backstab you last minute because he's an anarchist,
Yeah.
right? So there's that. And like out of what I saw in the Spider Verse, like this movie, the only other person that like felt mentor E was Miguel. Granted, he's a lot of bit jaded.
Yeah.
He snaps really quickly, but I think I'd get to know him like a cat. You know when your cat is about to like be angry at you, so you can like we've all had angry parents, so you know when to like not get not bother your mom or your dad.
Yeah.
I'd figure it out. I think Miguel would be the most qualified, and I would learn a lot. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that he does.
That's true. I think Miguel was a great character to add in. I think it was interesting to see the way he contrasted what we typically expect from a Spider-Man, right? He's not that quirky, kind of hokey kind of person. Like it's very much like Batman meets Spider-Man kind of thing going on. And I actually really dug it. Like I'm not mad at it at all. I was like, yo, the man got a point. Like, can we save the universe? Cause we all had to deal with some stuff. Like we all go through something. So I definitely dug him as a character. I need the Spider Society to, and every other team, Avengers, all of them, I need y'all to get some decent health care. I need y'all to get it because why is this lady like 9 months pregnant on a motorcycle out here in these streets? Like she don't get maternity leave.
We don't know what the gestation period is like for someone who's a spider person.
I would assume the same. I would assume the
Yeah, we don't
same,
know.
but she's very much pregnant. Like,
She looks very pregnant, but she could feel like she's only 2 months. You don't know. She's a superhero. Here's the other thing too, and this is getting a little meta. Spider-Man has to go through the canon events. If they don't, then the world starts to disintegrate or recursion or whatever.
right.
Where are the other superheroes in those universes to help?
Help with stopping the incursion. You mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess what can they really do? Like Captain America gonna show up and do what?
Doctor Strange could show up in each and every universe and be like, "Oh, let me just help you with this."
But you know, comics gone comic.
Yeah, that's fine. Right.
comics, comics gone comic. That's what it is.
Speaking of Miguel, how'd you feel about him as a villain?
I gotta say, he ain't a villain to me. I mean, he at most an antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be real, like it always boils, and I feel like this happens a lot with Spider-Man, right? It always boils down from saving one to saving the many, right? Whereas like save Mary Jane or save the was it the Roosevelt tram or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the times it boils down to that. And I have to say, save the universe. Like, I get it, that's your dad, and I can't say that I wouldn't make the same decision because that's my daddy, but does that make Miguel a villain? Now, his most villainous act was when they were on that train to the moon and he was beating up my boy, and from a brown man to a brown man, he said, "You do not belong here." I said, "Oh my God." I almost cried at that point.
So what happened to this? What happened to all this? Right? Like
Tired of us brown people.
being put against each other. Yeah.
Okay, so I have two schools of thoughts on that, right?
Okay.
One school of thought is yes, I am tired, especially in the white man's Hollywood. I am kind of tired of the brown people being pitted against each other and blah blah blah. The other part of me is like that school of thought where there's no such thing as black on black crime because there's no such thing as white on white crime. Crime happens within the vicinity that you live in, right? So whatever neighborhood you're in, whoever you're surrounded by, that's who's most likely to have the crime committed against them. So it's like if you build a mostly black world, then yeah, there's going to be black people fighting each other. If you build and so
How does that relate to two people from different universes fighting each other?
what I'm saying is, I don't know if we can always throw this whole why the brown people got to be against the brown people argument. Like, I don't know if that stands in all.
No, I don't think it stands in all, but I think it stands in this case.
I don't know.
They didn't grow up in the same neighborhood.
They did not, but does that exclude them from having different schools of thoughts or going up against each other?
No.
Dr. Umar would beg to differ. But yeah, like I feel like I don't know how long we can carry this conversation of, oh, we can't have people of color going up against each other in these fantasy stories, in these superhero stories.
I'd rather that than see a white villain say that to Miles. So what options do we have?
Exactly. So that's what I mean. I feel like there's a lot of discourse around like why it got to be the brown man telling another, brown boy that he doesn't belong, that all these things. Now, I'm not going to lie. It hits harder because he is brown. We expect that from white people, right? We expect that to happen. So when it's someone else who we would consider a minority being like, you don't belong here, you should have never been, you know what I mean? It's just it's on a different level, and it's just like, whew. But at the same time, I don't think this needs to be a constant conversation. I'll put it that way.
I haven't seen a conversation about that.
Really?
Which is why I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just haven't seen it. I get it. I get why people would say it, and I believe that it's happening. But
I've been
to
on
me, it's
TikTok
like
too much, to be honest.
Oh, I haven't been on TikTok. Yeah. I want to say one thing about Miguel.
Yes.
I think Miguel knows that Miles's father doesn't have to die. I think he knows, and I think he's jealous.
So I think
I do
firmly believe. I think he is the type of character that firmly believes.
I believe that too.
In the rules of the world.
I think that is a possibility. I think it's also a possibility that he is upset that there is a Spider-Man that can have their cake and eat it too, and he and everybody else can't.
I'm gonna have to do. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
That's okay.
I think he truly believes. If you want to talk about villains, I mean, Gwen knew. Peter B knew. Everyone knew.
Mayday knew.
Miles was the last to know. That's devastating. To be the last to know that everyone feels like you don't belong and that you are a problem in this world.
So here's the thing also with that. If they would, like, why? I guess I'm trying to think of cause and effect. So if Miles would have never followed Gwen into the next universe, they wouldn't have grabbed Miles and told him his dad was going to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did they grab Miles and tell him his dad was going to die? When they could have just left him to his own accord and just have it happen.
That's a good question.
And that's what kind of makes me think, like, why, like, Miguel, like, why are you doing that, Miguel? You could have just let the shit play out. If there's no other spider person there to help, then you assume that his father is going to die like every other captain.
My guess is he has to still be there in that universe for it to happen.
What do you
And I
mean?
don't. So, in other words, I'll put it this way: there's no. I feel like for the captain to die, for his dad to die as captain, he would kind of like maybe not. It's different because it's the Spot who's coming through and he's plotting and scheming the whole time. Because I guess
Right.
I was gonna put it this way: like Gwen leaves her universe, right? And
Mhm.
I am under the assumption that she understands that captains die. Her daddy is the
Yeah.
captain. And I feel
Mhm.
like a big part of her not going back is not only because she's not accepted by her dad, but part of it I feel like has to be if I go back, I
I'm gonna be the catalyst for that. Mhm.
right, I'm going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
But I feel like with Miles, it's different because the Spot is working throughout the multiverse, and he's like, "I'm coming for your dad specifically."
Right.
So that's a
But my point is that they could have just left
left him
Miles
there or
alone
sent him back.
to fight Spot. Yeah, to fight Spot and have him make that decision of saving the world or saving his dad. Like, and because they purposely didn't do that, makes me think that someone knows that his dad doesn't have to die.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, or movies got a movie and people are like, yeah, let's yada yada that part. To be honest with you, I think it's more of that. I think it's like, well, we've already got him out of his universe, so let's keep going and let's make the movie.
I guess.
Yeah, instead of sending him in the what was it, the go home machine or whatever.
Mhm.
How'd you feel about the Spot and his introduction and his role and all
I appreciate the arc that the Spot went on.
that?
He went, I appreciate how I wasn't feeling him at first. He was too quirky to be a villain for me to take him seriously. But I appreciate that that was done very deliberately so that
Yeah.
they can show him becoming an actual monster by the end of the movie. So I thought it was effective. I love the bodega scene with the beef patty and everything. The only thing that was missing was a cat, and I want to go back and like
Yes.
watch it to see if there was a cat sleeping on the bread somewhere.
Did they? Yes, you need the cat sleeping on the bread, Poppy. Why the cat always sleeping on the bread? Uh,
He's like, yes.
the beef patty was great. I was just like, for those who don't know, T and I are both from Brooklyn, so like even when I
And we're West Indian.
yes, and West Indian. And so when I walked up to Shamik Moore at the fan expo, I was like, "Yo, I'm from Brooklyn, so a Spider-Man from Brooklyn. I gotta come and I gotta see you through." He's like, "All right," and we dapped it up. So I was like, "He's not from Brooklyn, but he can play somebody." So to me,
My thing is, he did the beef patty with no cocoa bread.
yeah, you gotta have the cocoa bread.
You need the cocoa bread.
You gotta have the cocoa bread, especially if you got a Jamaican owner. Like, come on now,
Was he supposed to be Jamaican?
that's Ziggy Marley.
No, it's not.
It is.
See, now I gotta watch the movie over. What?
That's Ziggy Marley, bro. I had to look it up too. That's Ziggy Marley.
What?
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, you gotta have the cocoa bread with it. But I like the Spot. I like the humor, like you said, the arc of like going from villain of the week to I'm that man. I'm that dude, right? Like
Hold on.
it's,
Ziggy Marley is a musician, correct?
yes, that's Bob Marley's
Oh,
son.
so Ziggy Marley can do voice acting, clearly. So where the hell was he for The Little Mermaid?
Is what we always want to know. Masha Montana. Anybody? Shaggy? Bro, come on.
Give me Sean Paul.
Shauna Paul.
Anyways, I digress. Keep going.
But yeah, I really liked him. I thought that was brilliant to take a character that to us casual fans is not even known, but like his spots are portals to dimensions, right? How freaking brilliant to throw that into a multiverse story. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoy that they made each other, right? He's like, I made you and you made me. And so I dug
Can
that
you
part.
explain that? Because I don't remember how that happens in the first movie. Can you explain how they made each other?
So he is experimenting with the collider, and in experimenting with the collider, he ends up somehow grabbing the radioactive spider from Earth 42 and bringing it into, was it 1610, into
Hmm.
Miles's universe. In that flashback that they're showing, the animation, you actually see Miles Earth 42 sitting in the classroom as the spider is descending, and then it gets pulled out of the universe, indicating that that spider was actually supposed to bite that Miles. And so it gets pulled out. The spider finds Miles of 1610, bites him. And so when Miles and Peter B are running through Alchemex, right? He hits the spot with a bagel. That's the dude. But as the collider is exploding, he's like trying to salvage something from the collider, some sort of dark matter type stuff. And so when everything explodes, he explodes with the dark matter. He becomes the spot. He gets covered in all the spots.
So why does he blame Miles for that?
Because it was Miles and Peter and all of them who destroy the collider and make it explode in the
Oh,
first place.
so him saying you do a bagel at me, it wasn't like the bagel caused me to become the spot. It was just
No,
like
yeah, but no, he
insult
remembered.
to
He said, "My boy, you gonna
got
get
it.
what
I got it.
you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get what
Yeah,
you
but
owe."
here's the thing. It's like he villains create their heroes that come and stop them, and that's exactly what he did. No one told him to take that spider.
I feel like that's always the conversation, right? Is like, because we see that in throughout Avengers and the MCU. Is like, was the formation of the Avengers what kind of causes, more supervillains or whatever you want to call them to kind of be attracted to Earth and want to come and fight and do all those things. So are we really creating our own enemies by doing this kind of stuff?
I would argue I'm arguing that the villain created the hero. And in the Avengers case too, because Thanos sent Loki. If Thanos would have never sent Loki, the Avengers would have never got together.
That's true, but I think that's true. They wouldn't have banded together. Um, but if you bring it down to a more one-on-one, right? It's like, how does that work? So with Tony, it's because what's his name? Dang, I can't remember his name. But what's his face? Kidnaps him, right? And puts him in the cave.
Tony Stark built this
Built this in the cave.
with a bunch of scraps.
With a
That just
bunch
messed
of
up my throat.
scraps. And so yeah, so it's like the villain creating the hero creating the villain, all these kinds of things. So I always love seeing that merry-go-round kind of happen. So I thought that was cool.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm into the spot. I thought it was a great villain. I thought it was a great arc for him. There was a lot of growth there. So I think that's always great to see in a villain as well. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I like it. Plenty of action.
Yes.
Obviously, the main action scene of the movie was the whole Nueva York sequence.
Yeah.
Um, I also enjoyed the spot fight, especially in the bodega. I thought that was cool.
That was fun. That was a fun one. I was like,
Mhm.
how do you even trap someone like this? So to see him kind of pulling himself through his hole, so I was like, okay, cool, 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 cool. I liked the callback to, so when Miles and his dad Jeff are both chasing the spot, and Jeff kind of comes to that high point, and he's like, I could jump into the hole. He's like, no, 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 I'm gonna go down the stairs, which is a callback to Miles when he first gets his powers, and he's like, I'm gonna jump off this building, and he's like, that building's a little too tall. Let me go down the stairs, and he picks like a shorter building to jump off of.
That's funny.
So I love that callback to that. I felt like the Vulture Gwen fights went on a little too long for me. I was like, all right, we could wrap this up.
When the actual opening credits actually came on after that, I was like, oh yeah, we've been here for 20 minutes.
Right. I was like, this was a little long. It was a little bit much.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I of course the Nueva York chase. That was great. Obviously, seeing all the spider people hunt him down again, having Miguel pin him down and be like, "You don't belong here." He's like, "Man, y'all want me to follow y'all story, but I'm gonna write my own. Like, I'm gonna do that." I thought that was awesome, right? Because that also calls back to the speech that his mom gives him. I know you're going to go out into this world and nobody's going to root for you like we do. Nobody's going to support you like we do. Nobody's going to love you like we do. But don't forget who you are and where you came from. And I was just like, man. And so when Miguel's beating him down and he's like, nah, I'm going to write my own story. I was like, oh, yes, please do. Get out of here.
I kind of wish he would have said it in Spanish. There was a decent bit of Spanish in the movie, which I appreciate, but I didn't understand a lot of it, so I was like a little annoyed.
I need subtitles, but the one part I did understand was, "Do webs come out of your culito?" And I was like, you're funny. I was like, you're funny. You're funny.
Yeah. Did you see when she when they were in the counselor's office and they said that he was getting a B in Spanish and she snapped at him, the Puerto Rican flag that popped up over the snap?
Gets angry in Spanish, in Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Angry in Puerto Rican. I love that. And then also, like, on the flip side, Gwen was like, she got a B+ in English. I don't know if you caught that. I was like, oh, look at you guys, just forever connected, huh?
What the poster I can see on my wall is them in Williamsburg, hanging upside down off the thing.
That was in the trailer. That's why I was like,
I don't know. I don't remember what was in the trailer. So.
That's in the trailer. Yeah, that's definitely a poster I want, but I'm not gonna hold you. I kind of want it without Gwen though. Like, I just want it to be Miles.
Yeah.
I kind of just want it to be Miles hanging off
the
Williamsburg bank.
Maybe we'll get it at the end of the next movie when he's like reflecting.
Possibly. Maybe. You never know. You never know. I'm here for it. Yes, so a lot of good action. Let's see the plot lines and themes.
Let's go do this quick.
Okay. We're already hitting an hour. Yeah. Okay, so I love the theme of looking for somewhere to belong, looking for acceptance. I thought it was incredibly done to show that Miles has no friends. Genki, his roommate in the comics, is supposed to be his guy in the chair. That's supposed to be his dude. That's supposed to be his best friend. So to see him kind of being like, I don't want to be your dude in the chair, like, that's a slippery slope. I don't want to help you. I don't want to call the police. I don't want to do none of that. And he's like, yeah, I had a friend, Gwen, but she moved. And I knew this guy, Peter, but he moved. And so to see how lonely he really is and by himself, and when he sees the Spider Society, he's so excited to join, right? That's what makes Hobie be like, you want to join so bad. You don't even know what war they fight in. Like, why are you so excited for this? You don't even know what's going on. And so I kind of love that, right? Because who isn't looking for acceptance and belonging and a family and, someone to relate to? And so I love that. I thought that was amazing, right? Him trying to find his place in this world.
Can I comment on that and just say that the way they did it is brilliant because it's a very meta thing to do. Spider-Man, to my knowledge, in most of his arcs, and the Spider-Person at some point finds themselves alone because everybody keeps dying around them.
Yeah.
You got to figure stuff out. In this case, instead of people dying around Miles, they literally they expose him to other versions of himself and then take it away to like have the same sort of feeling. I thought about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, like where we left him at the end of No Way Home.
Yeah.
When watching this movie and thinking about the theme of like being alone, basically. So I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
Very meta.
maybe I could be wrong, but maybe like the only Spider-Man where he has these best friends who know who he is and know about him and support him. And then by the end of No Way Home, he loses all that. So he ends up where we typically know Spider-Man to be,
Mm-hmm.
right? Gwen's arc, uh, walking away from her band, trying to come out to her dad, like, this is who I am. I am Spider Woman. Also, could be, allegory for a lot of other things. Um, and being rejected, right? Being rejected by her dad. But then her dad finding the picture with Miles, her dad seeing the walkie-talkie in the penguin stuffy or whatever, and eventually accepting her for who she is. And just that whole arc was crazy. And we talk about how visually stunning, right? And so in Gwen's world, it's very much like watercolor,
Like a
pastel.
mood board.
Yeah, very much like a mood board or mood ring. And when the emotions shift in the scene, the world reflects that. It was so beautiful to watch. Watching the colors bleed across the screen, I was like, oh my gosh, y'all thought about this too hard, and God bless you for it. So I really, really enjoyed that. How'd you feel about Gwen's arc throughout the movie?
I thought her arc was necessary in order to tell the larger Miles story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm annoyed it took up so much of the movie, honestly.
Mm.
And I just get really annoyed by, like, I don't know. She annoys me. She annoys me that she lied. She annoys me that she lied to Miles. She annoys me that she clearly was playing on Miles's, like, affection for her. She knew, and she still wasn't going to tell him. Um, she knew he was an anomaly. She knew that his dad was going to die soon. Like, she knew all these different things. And decided to put the responsibility over her friend, which is what heroes do.
Yeah.
But I still don't like her for it. So
I actually was pleasantly surprised by how much I ended up caring for her by seeing more of her story. I was actually into it. It was a bit. I will say this: that scene of her in 1610 talking to Miles' parents, y'all could have cut all that out.
they could have cut all of
That
that
was
out.
that y'all could have cut out. I didn't understand what the point was of that was. I didn't feel like it was necessary. Y'all could have cut that out.
You mean towards the end?
Yes.
Yeah, they could have cut that out.
Yeah, when she comes to them and they're like, "Where's my son?" And she's like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna go find him."
So the only way that I could see that could have been cool is if she would have told them that she was a Spider Woman, and Miles has something to do with that as well, like to kind of like test the waters for him. Um,
Even that.
but they didn't do that. So
Yeah, I don't even think I don't even think I would have like that. But I think it was, even though it was annoying to know that she was lying to him this whole time, it's interesting to me, right? That you have, on one hand, you have Miles, who's this person who's like, I want to go against the norms. I want to write my own story. I want to do my own thing, right? In the first movie, he has to write an essay on great expectations, and he goes and he does the graffiti no expectations, right? But versus Gwen, who's like, man, I've seen how some of this can go wrong. My dad has rejected me. I've been to these other worlds. We need to
my best friend died.
My best friend died. We need to play our parts here. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that was a great way to create, the balance in the story, those two sides to the story. Whereas like Miguel, is really easy to kind of eventually dislike him, right? Because it's like they built him to look like a villain, to feel like a villain. Aside from Gwen, who's supposed to be his best friend. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
in every universe, Gwen falls for Spider-Man, and I was like, pick your words better. But yes, they fall for him.
They did that on purpose.
One way or another, they gonna fall for him. Um, and so yeah, I actually really I liked her arc, honestly. It didn't.
Do you think we're going to see a scene of Miles having to save Gwen?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't
Same.
surprise
I wouldn't be
me.
surprised.
I would rather they didn't. Because I feel like
I'd rather they did it the opposite way if they were going to do it.
Gwen saving him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd rather see that. Miles's arc. Our boy's all grown up, right? When we see him, he's like a couple
He
years
got some
older.
Dwayne Wade shoulders. He is,
He done,
yo.
he done filled out. He's all grown up. I have to ask. We see this all the time in Spider-Man. Does he really need to stop every crime along the way? Does he really need to? Like, you can let these low-level villains run around. Now, if you run into a mutant of some sort, if it's some, sort of crisis, the train needs to be stopped because it's going to run off the track, cool. Somebody stealing sneakers when your daddy is having a party to get promoted and you need to bring the cakes. Now listen, I don't know how it is in other families, but when you're in a West Indian Black family and you have been designated to bring something as important as cake, side note, mac and cheese, or depending where you're from, the rice, you better show up on time with everything intact. the fact that
Or else you will never live that down.
you will never live it.
Your grandchildren will know that you're the person that messed up the mac and cheese.
Yes.
Like, that's how serious it is.
Yes. Yes. You're the one who didn't bring the douillet Jean Jean, the black rice. Don't come ever again. Don't ever show your face again. Okay? So watching his dad make that speech and Miles is nowhere to be found,
I just knew he was going to show up last minute. I just had so much. I just knew he was going to show up last minute, and then he did it, and I was heartbroken for him.
I was heartbroken for his dad, bro. I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That made me really, really sad. But I love watching Miles grow up. I love watching him figure out his place. The conversation with the guidance counselor when she's like, "Oh, we need to get you a story, right? You're this kid from this immigrant family," and his mom's like, "I'm from Puerto Rico. We're part of the U.S. This struggling Black family." He's like, "We own a floor in Brooklyn. Like, I think we're doing okay. I'm about to make captain. I think we're doing okay." Like,
yeah,
I love that. And I think because a lot of people of color, it's always expected we need to have this story or we need this almost like sob story. And it's like, some of us just came up all right. Like, we're okay.
So to pivot just real quickly, outside of casual fangirls, I'm also an education coach, and I used to work in admissions for a lot of universities and stuff like that. And my PhD is in higher education, and so there's a lot of discourse around institutions, whether directly or indirectly, they are facilitating almost the exploitation of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, but exactly what you saw in there of like the counselor being like, we need to make this a good story in order to make it worth it. Like, make them feel, I guess, sorry enough for you, or make them feel like you actually overcame stuff. But everyone on the face of the earth doesn't have to overcome like great tragedies in order to be worthy of acceptance to a particular school. And this is coming from someone who used to have to read 100 applications a day, like super selective schools, right? And so when that was happening, I was like, this is annoying me because it's my career and I have to deal with that all the time. It's just, I hate it. I hate that they like in plenty of educational applications, you have to like write your statement of diversity, like how you will bring a diverse perspective to campus. And it's like, bruh, I'm Black, just let me in. Like, why do I need to spell this out for you?
I am enough. Look at my grades.
Look
at my extracurriculars. Look at what I've accomplished.
And so I got to tell you, my mom died and I was first gen and you're making me relive all the awful things that happened to me just so I can maybe get into, you're making me shuck and jive to get into your school. And I hate that. I hate it.
And so
Sorry, rant over.
I love when Miles is like, I need to have a story. That's gross. Like, what do you mean? Like, can I
Mm-hmm.
not just be me? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. And so, yeah, that was that conversation was awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
really like that conversation. And even like when like Rio was kind of left at the end, where it's like, so y'all just want me to do this by myself. I like that there was more of Rio. I like that they brought her in a little bit more. They gave her a little bit more to do. Um, I could use a little bit more of her, but you know, I enjoyed them bringing her in.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, as Miles, when Miles is complaining to his parents, I need space, I need to do this, let me fly, let me be me, let me do these things, they can't hear it. And I think that goes for a lot of parents. But then when he puts on the suit and he puts on that little fake Brooklyn deep voice accent and all that, you gotta let him fly, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, bro. But then
Let me ask you, what school does he go to again?
Visions Academy,
Is that supposed to be a play on your old high school?
Midwood.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So the reason why I asked is because obviously it's a great school and New York City has like the specialized high schools and all that jazz. Um but because it's in Brooklyn and because they have that walkway over the street, it made me think of Midwood, your high school.
The walkway makes me think of Midwood, but I feel like the essence is trying to be more Brooklyn Tech, because Brooklyn Tech is a specialized
I think it's trying to be what Brooklyn Tech wants people to think that they are.
school.
As someone who used to recruit there, yeah. This is no shade at Brooklyn Tech. I'm just saying
No,
Brooklyn Tech is more
not
Brooklyn.
at all.
Brooklyn Tech is more Brooklyn than you would expect for it to be a specialized high school.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
But yeah, I think that's the vibe they were going for. We see a lot of different family dynamics, from Peter B. Parker starting his own family, Miguel O'Hara basically pulling a Wanda and hijacking a family. And that world falling apart and him losing his family, which makes him even more dark and more brooding than I guess he was
And
before.
would make him even more likely to try to keep Miles from having his dad because he's jealous
You're convinced he's
that
just
a
a hater.
Spider-Man gets to have. Huh?
I said you're convinced that he's just a hater. I love
I'm convinced he's just a hater.
it.
Yeah.
I really want to see if that pans out, because I actually kind of like that. That's really funny to me.
Mhm.
Spider Woman being pregnant, talking about her man a little bit, um and so it's the part that struck me was when Hobie was like, "Oh, you got both parents? Like, why do you want to be here?" Like, and I was just kind of like, Spider Punk, you got a point. Like, it's interesting to me that he's seeking longing and belonging, like not seeking longing, that he's seeking belonging so much from these other spider people, when he does have that family unit at home that these other spider people long to have, want to have.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you have until it's gone, so
That that too. And now he's fighting back to go save his daddy. Should Miles tell his parents that he's Spider-Man?
absolutely.
100%.
100%.
100%. And what I love is that in the most recent superhero stories that we're seeing, the people of color are always involving their family. They're always involving their
Yeah.
family. Because a lot of us don't just have the Aunt Mays who just don't understand or pay attention to what's going on. A lot of us have helicopter parents and aunts and guardians who are just like all in your business. That if I show up to a party late with two cakes that are messed up, it's like, what were you doing? Like, and no, we're not letting up. We're not just taking whatever answer you give us.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'm with that. Gwen had a bad experience. Sorry to you, Gwen. But I think Miles 100% should tell his parents. And it broke my heart when he got to Earth 42 and he told that Rio, and she's just like, who's Spider-Man? And I was just like, oh.
Yeah, I also think that seeing the contrast between Gwen telling her dad and then like assuming that Miles might have a similar reaction from his dad is absolutely not the case. Like Miles's dad, what's his name? Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, as a cop, is working with Spider-Man. He doesn't hate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what happened with Gwen. Gwen's dad hated Spider Gwen or Spider Woman or whatever they want to call
That's
her.
a good point.
So it's when I saw that they were working together and like was actually like having a powwow, I was like, oh, this is kind of dope. I don't remember that being a thing in the last movie, but I don't remember the last movie at all. But that was like a very clear difference between the dynamics of the Captain and Spider-Man.
Yeah. And so I definitely think he needs to tell his parents. He needs that support. They gonna back him. They gonna love him regardless. They gonna back him up anyway. So I hate that he's so afraid, but I also very much understand the fear, especially when your parents have this clear vision of what they want your life to be and you have other plans. Like when Rio was like, Jersey's too far, I was like, oh,
There are plenty of good colleges in Brooklyn. Now,
that sounded
to the audience,
just like my parents. And I
to the audience,
and it
Nessa and I graduated
and is a big reason
from a
why I went
college
to
in
Brooklyn
Brooklyn.
College. That's a big reason why I went to Brooklyn. I did not even apply to schools outside of New York at all.
Really?
I did not. I regret it, but I didn't.
I hate that for you.
I did not. Um, a big part of it was because of that push and that feeling of like, we don't want you to leave. You need to be close. You need to stick around. The other part of it too was that I had convinced myself that I was going to pursue higher education. So I was like, let me pay these in-state prices, and then if I want, to go on to grad school, I can pay more to go out and do that.
Did you ever come to Stony Brook when I was there?
No, I've never been to Stony Brook.
So you've never even like been on a campus outside of New York City while you were a college age student?
Not while I was a college age student. After I graduated, I visited FAMU's campus.
Oh yeah, you did do that, yeah.
That was it. That was it. To be honest with you,
Vanessa in another universe who went to FAMU is having a very different conversation right now.
Very different conversation. But it is what it is. Life pans out the way it does.
Life.
Yeah, life happens. So but I deeply related to that comment, to that conversation, to that family dynamic period, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't excelling in French, my parents was like, bro, what are you doing with your life? Like, come on. So I definitely relate very much to their family. Did the movie hit all the emotional beats that you needed it to hit?
I don't know that I was looking to hit any specific emotional beats. I think by the second act they had set up where they were going very, very well. So I'll say yes.
Mm-hmm. Did the twist surprise you, or did you catch it early on like some other people did?
Boricua Miles?
Yes.
Why are you laughing? That's not who he is?
I just love it.
The Puerto Rican Day Parade was last weekend in New York City.
Did you catch it?
I did not. I did not catch it. No. So when he threw the glove and the other person caught the glove and you see like Rico Suave Miles pop out, I was like, oh,
I
happy.
Did you even catch that he ended up in Earth 42? That's kind of what I was referring to.
So I didn't. I thought his mother was being like, oh, you silly, like you're just being silly, right? But when his uncle walked in, I was like,
yeah,
that's not right.
Yeah. So I didn't. So right.
And also, was the uncle giving the mother like drug money?
Okay. All right. I'm coming up. Okay. So first, right. Okay. I didn't catch the when he gets pulled into the go home machine or whatever that it said Earth 42. It flashes. It flashed really fast. My eyes did not catch it. Yeah,
Didn't catch
so
it.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't get it. I did not notice the discrepancy in terms of animation and color style. That didn't hit me. I did not even catch
It was
that.
nighttime.
I
I
didn't
didn't
even
get it.
catch that Rio's eyes were different. Rio's eyes are green in that universe. I did not catch that, bro, at all. I got suspicious when, like you said, she was like, Spider Man, like who's Spider Man? That's when I was like, wait a minute, because I know damn well Jeff Morales was going home and venting about Spider Man. So I'm like, I know she knows about him. So that was weird to me. And then, like you said, when Uncle Aaron comes in, and so is he giving her drug money? Now, I guess we're gonna mesh predictions into this, and just combine it. So that threw me off because part of me wants to feel like the Miles and Aaron of that universe are anti-heroes, vigilantes. I don't want to fully believe that they are just bad.
Villains, yeah.
Although I feel like that would be more interesting of a story to me. I don't think it's going that way, but also I'm like, where are you getting this money that you're giving her? Right? So that's kind of the part where I'm like, y'all clearly want us to think that he's the bad guy.
Or they're doing something
Or they're
illegal.
doing something illegal. Uh but I don't know. I definitely don't think it's coming from no regular 9 to 5. But
No.
I just don't yeah. And she's like, "Oh, I'll pay you back." He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it. Whatever, I got you." Um,
So they took that scene right out of Belly or something, because ain't no way the body language. I know when somebody dropping off drug money. I know it when I see it, or illegal money. Okay. My thing is, does she have a job in this universe? And if not, how are they making money? I guess illegally would be the way that I think about it.
she does because she says, "I'm gonna pick up extra shifts to pay you back."
Oh,
So I
um,
believe she's like a nurse or working like in a hospital.
oh yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
So in any event, I thought that looked shady AF.
of
But I
course.
also want to believe, that, and this is going to slide into predictions, that in the next film, we'll see that, hopefully Miles can get through to Boricua Miles and convince him to come back with him to save their dad.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, I think that's what's gonna happen. Again, I would prefer to see him just straight up villain. Um, because at the end of the day, right, villain or hero, basically you have a person, the world breaks them apart. And the question is, do they now want to break the world or do they want to put the world back together? And I feel like it would have been more interesting to head down the road of this one wants to break the world apart. And I would have really enjoyed watching that. I also know it's a kids movie, whatever, so we may not get that.
Is it a kids movie?
It's targeted towards them on some
Is
level.
it?
On some level.
Hmm.
That's why we only get like the PG. Or is it PG? Is it PG-13 or is it PG?
I'm about to Google it. Hold on.
But I think that would have been a more interesting turn, a more interesting story to watch play out. I love how it's a callback to when Miles captures Peter B and ties him to a punching bag, right? And Peter B escapes and he's like, "Don't watch the mouth, watch the hands." And at the end, we see Miles with his one finger on the chains on the that are holding him to the bag, getting ready to.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't remember anything that happened in Into the Spider-Verse. Wow, I need to go back and watch
This
it.
is why I went back and watched it. I prepared. I prepared.
Oh, it is PG. That's
It's
annoying.
PG, yeah. So I'm saying, I mean, obviously they're gonna have adult themes. They're gonna target the jokes towards adults and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's mostly targeted towards kids. And say kids are good. Kids are what's gonna sell it. You're gonna sell the merch. You're gonna sell more tickets because your whole family's going. You got
Yeah, but but the adults really love it. It's like The Incredibles. It's like, leave your baby home.
Speaking of which, right? So when I went to go see it, I definitely purposely watched it at a 10 p.m. showing because I was like, if a baby screams during this viewing, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be mad. Leave y'all kids at home. Leave them at
Did the
home.
baby scream?
There was no kids. It was a 10 p.m.
Okay.
showing. There was no kids.
Listen, in New York City, a 10 p.m. showing will have kids in it.
Oh, 100%. Thank goodness I live in the suburbs. Texas.
A midnight show will have babies in it.
Yeah,
Wide
for
awake.
sure. So I was very happy that there were no kids. It was all adults in there actually. Because when I
Mm.
went to go see it the second time, I saw it at think of like 5 p.m. on like a
Mhm.
Tuesday. And kids are out of school, so there's some teenagers in there, whatever. Um, Also the crowd was kind of whack. I don't know. I these movies sometimes it really is about who's in your crowd. So sometimes I really do miss the New York crowds because oh man, everybody's amped up, everybody's excited, everybody's ready to yell at the screen, and I kind of miss that. Uh, Versus like people who are kind of just sitting there and quiet, and like I'm the one that's like, oh my god, oh I know what you. And it's just
I didn't see it in New York. I saw it in Philly. But when the to be continued thing popped up, I was like, that is rude. Like really, really loud. The guy next to me was like, it's like, why would they do that?
so yeah.
I was like, so rude.
Who was your MVP of the film?
That's a good question. Like I mentioned, the breakout star is probably Hobie. Just the vibe just made a lot of sense. So would say he is probably he's not the MVP, but he's just like the surprise I didn't know I needed, if that makes sense. MVP, I'm probably gonna have to give it to Miles because he's consistently like I have all the faith that he'll get out of the situation he's in at the end of the movie.
I love the
So
confidence he has at the end of the movie. Even when
mhm,
he's tied up to the punching bag, he's scared, but he's just exuding confidence. Like, I got this. I'm gonna get out of this.
mhm.
Um, I'm gonna write my own story. I'm sorry. Every gets me every time. I am going to have to go with Hobie as the MVP for me. He's the one who makes the bootleg time travel watch. He's the one who tells Miles to use his palms. He's the one who's constantly trying to get Miles to see the light. You know,
He's unlocking a lot of like quiet powers in people,
yeah, and
like an anarchist would.
like an anarchist. What? But he's like a loving anarchist because when they're like, "Well, why are you part of the Spider Society?" He's like, "Well, I gotta look out for my drummer slash lover." But oh,
Did he say that
he
really?
didn't say lover, but he said I have to look out for my drummer.
I hate that. I hate it so much.
Why?
I don't like it. I don't know. I don't like
You
it.
don't like them as a couple?
I don't like it. I don't want her with Miles neither, to be clear.
Okay, you just don't want any of this love connection happening. But it's so palpable. The tension is so palpable. I also have to say, like, I feel like Spider-Man India is a quiet MVP for me because,
He's funny.
to be honest, I felt like the movie really got going when they got to Mumbai. Uh,
Mhm.
all the humor that Spider-Man India brings, I loved it. The action that follows, the way the world looks. I
It was cool watching them save everyone as the Alchemax collapsed too. That was kind of cool.
yeah. So I was 100. I'm sold on Spider-Man India. It's also a voice. I can't remember his name, but he was the taxi driver in Deadpool.
Him.
That guy, yeah.
I like him.
Is that
He's funny.
guy. Andy Samberg does Scarlet Spider-Man, whatever his name. The 90s over muscled one. Perfect pose. I'm in the
Mhm.
alley.
Ben Riley?
Yeah, Ben Riley. There you go, Ben Riley. He
Yeah.
does Ben Riley. Um, But yeah, I think those two are my MVPs, but definitely Hobie for sure.
Nice.
Hobie's my guy, man.
Scale of 1 to 10. What do you think across the Spider-Verse?
Sheesh. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. Into the Spider-Verse for me is a 10. I'm gonna give it Across the Spider-Verse 9.5. There was some
I'm
fat that could have been trimmed off of it.
We don't know that yet, and that's why I'm kind of like,
For some of those fight scenes could have been cut. The whole scene with Gwen and Miles's parents at the end, that could have been cut. For me,
we don't know that yet, though.
Well, as far as I know, that's where
That's fair.
this is
That's
an
fair.
ever evolving rating system I have in my brain. So
I think that this is a solid 9 for me. I do think Into the Spider-Verse was like a 9.5. I need to watch it again, to be honest. I'm sure it's a 10, but I just need to watch it again.
Yeah.
But I do think that by the time the last one comes out, this might be the best superhero trilogy that we've ever gotten.
I firmly agree. 100%. I firmly agree. I'd be extraordinarily shocked if they just fail on the third. I would be so shocked. It's not impossible, but I'd be shocked.
It's not impossible. They don't even have to do that much. Just keep doing what they did in this movie.
Yeah, bro.
Just finish the story.
Finish the
You don't gotta add nothing. I don't want to see Tom Holland. I don't want to see nothing. Like, no, don't give me no sprinkle of extra on top. Do exactly what you did in this movie and just keep doing it for another 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's it.
Okay, I don't know if you've heard this. It's not.
I did not.
But is Tom Holland not in the movie because we forget that he's Peter Parker and he's Spider-Man, or is he not in because it's MCU/Sony?
Is he not in it because we forget that he's Spider-Man, that he's Peter? Regardless of who his identity is, he's Spider-Man, so he should be there.
Okay.
Right?
They could have had scenes with the mask on, I guess. So I guess
we don't. Yeah, I mean, or with the mask off, But in any way, like, we don't. You saying like the audience is not supposed to know that he's Peter Parker?
Somebody brought up the theory that his Peter Parker is not in the movie because we forget, or like the world is supposed to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But you're right. Either way, it would be a Spider-Man.
Still Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. Boo.
Right? And they mentioned him anyway, right? What did they say about the Doctor Strange kid?
Yeah, the nerd and the sorcerer doctor, whatever. They messed up the multiverse. And
why would they call him the nerd? Aren't they all supposed to be nerdy?
Well, it's Miguel who's saying it. Miguel ain't no nerd.
Oh, Miguel said it? Okay, so then yeah, he's a hater.
Miguel's got the zaddy vibes. Call it what you want, but
he's a hater.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 9.5. You give it a 9. Do you think they're really going to try to? What do you think is going to happen with Miguel in this third movie, basically?
I think that's a good question. The question is, does he have to die? Did his Miguel? Well, I mean, what the hell is he still doing?
Or do you mean does
wait?
Jeff have to die?
Did he? Huh?
Are you saying does Jeff have to die or does Miguel have to die?
Miguel.
Oh.
So here's the thing. He's a villain. Miguel is a villain. He's not going to just stop being a villain just because the movie changes, right? And I don't see him coming around. I don't know. I think here's my question, because you watched it twice. What happened to Miguel's? So Nueva York is Miguel's universe, right?
Yeah.
But what happened that he what happened with his kid or something like that? What is it that actually happened?
So he found a world where he had a family and he had a child. That Miguel died. So he took that Miguel's place. But in taking that Miguel's place, it messed up the universe.
So he just left it alone and it came back to his own universe?
it imploded on itself. There was an incursion.
Oh, but he just happened to get out.
Yeah, and he got out. Peter B. Parker was there for some reason as well. We don't really understand why or get the story why, but they get out. So that's a big motivation behind Miguel being like, I've seen this happen. I've lived it. You just witnessed it in Mumbai. Come on now. Like, what are we really talking about? Which is why I'm saying I don't think he's a villain. Anti-hero, yes. Antagonist, sure. But villain, I think that's a reach.
He's just as much of a villain as Spot is. I'll say that. I'll say that.
Spot
Yeah.
was actively like trying to kill Miles's dad.
And Miguel is on his side. Miguel is on his side.
Miguel is like, listen, this is gonna happen, but if we do stop it, you're gonna lose your whole world.
Miguel is on the same side as the Spot in this situation.
Not exactly.
It is exactly.
Not exactly.
He's not trying to stop the Spot.
It could be the Spot. It could have been the Lizard. It could have been Electro. It could have been anybody. He's just been like, look.
Wait. Hold on. But they were trying to stop the Spot. They were trying to catch him.
They're trying to catch. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they necessarily deem the Spot as necessary to Jeff dying. They're like, it's gonna happen regardless. Now, what the problem is that the Spot is wreaking havoc throughout the entire multiverse because he's just out here hopping from universe to universe. That's a problem. We need to stop that. But I think they firmly believe that Jeff Morales is going to die regardless. And so they're like, whatever. Like, people die every day, B. Like, what do you want me to tell you? So you gonna be all right.
Okay, I'll say this. Something about Miguel don't sit right with me. There's something off.
I think he's misunderstood.
Fine. I think there's something off about him. So in any event,
but yeah.
For the third movie, I think that the final showdown will be between Miles and Miguel. I'll say let me put it that way then.
I don't think Miguel will die. I think that's wild. That blows my mind that you said that. That's why I was like, wait, run that back. I don't think Miguel will die. I think it, seeing how all of these stories have played out in one way or another, I think they're going to prove Miguel wrong. Miguel's going to be like, oh my God, I didn't know. Wow. And they're just going to move on some way, somehow.
I know how.
How?
Miguel is going to sacrifice himself to save Jeff.
I like you.
I know you do. He's going to realize the error of his ways and realize that one Spider-Man should be happy. And all his people that he loved is gone, so he might as well go too. He should have been gone.
Now you sound like a hater, but I like that. I think, she didn't write it, but folks, if she did,
it's a concept.
Damn, we're gonna have to come back to this. That's gonna keep me up tonight. I'm not gonna hold you.
I appreciate
it. But I like it. I think that
feels like something a Spider-Man would do.
Yeah, I think that's a likely outcome. Miguel's gonna end up sacrificing himself. Jeff gets to live.
Or just maybe it's not Jeff, maybe it's Miles. Who knows? Like maybe, but I can see Miguel sacrificing himself after realizing that it didn't have to go the way that he thought it had to go.
Yeah, I think the final scene is going to be like Miles is beaten up, trying to save his dad. Mask is half ripped off. He's trying to crawl to his daddy, and Miguel's going to be like, "Dang, let me come to the rescue," and he's going to sacrifice himself. I think you're right. I think that's how it's going to play out. I think somehow, some way, Boricua Miles is gonna come and help out. Also, I think he's gonna.
I agree. I think Miles is gonna offer him the chance to like say things to his dad that he never got a chance to do. I think it's gonna freak Jeff out. But like, I think Jeff is going to be like, okay.
They're gonna be crying in the theaters. I know it. But yeah, I believe that. Again, I actually really, really want Boricua Miles to just. I want him to take that left turn. I really do. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So yeah,
Mm-mm.
we're gonna see. I'm excited. I'm excited. March 20. Is it March 29th, 2024?
I don't know the exact date, but I know it's March 2024.
Yeah. We get part 3, the continuation beyond the Spider Verse. I am really excited. I want to see where Miles's arc takes him. I want to see him, as he would say, do his own thing, grow into himself. Um, I want to see this. I'll be happy to actually get the older characters back. Spider Noir.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that was Nicolas Cage. That's funny. He's funny.
Penny Parker, all those folks. I'm excited to get those people back. I hope they flesh out Jessica Drew more. I would like to get to know about her a little bit more.
I mean, so the way we left her, it seemed like she knew that Gwen was going to go and like round up a team to go try to save Miles,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like she let her do that basically. She didn't try to stop her.
I thought she was just following her. I thought she pretty much just figured like, oh, okay, Miles isn't here. She knows where Miles is. She's gonna go find him. So let me just sit back and follow her so I can find them too. I don't know if she's done.
I don't think she was following him to different. I don't think she was following her to different universes though.
I think she will.
Oh,
I think she will.
you think she's gonna show up in 42?
Yeah.
Or she's just gonna wait in 1610 to make sure that when Miles comes back, he doesn't save his dad.
I think she's gonna show up in 42, and eventually she's gonna flip on Miguel.
I mean, yes, it's obvious.
But I think she's. I think they're all going to convene in 42. I put it that way.
Did we see Jess play with Mayday at all?
I don't recall.
It would have been really funny if she was just like,
while she's pregnant.
And everyone was like,
he's like, hold my baby. If you just squeeze my baby, it'll make you feel better. I was like, yo, what are you talking about?
Silly.
When
anyway,
the knitted hat. Oh my gosh, my heart stings. I was like, I need to get one of my kids. When I have a kid, I need to get a kid that. I was like 100%. I'm gonna remember that.
That's funny. Any other predictions or?
No other predictions, but you got any last comments about the movie?
Just ready for the next one.
Yeah.
I want it now. I want this to come out on streaming so I can watch it. They better put it on a free like a service I already have.
I don't know.
I'm not playing with them.
I don't know what the deal is with all that. I need to look into that. I know that part of the reason why they reboot Spider-Man so much is because that's part of the ways Sony can keep the Spider-Man IP. I guess you have to keep it active every few years, so that you don't lose it. But like, I don't know what the whole deal is with like putting it on streaming. We've got Venom on streaming, Morbius is on streaming. I feel like Into the Spider-Verse is like the only thing that really is, you just can't.
Homecoming and Far From Home are on streaming now.
Yeah, No Way Home is on streaming.
Yeah, it's not on Disney Plus, but it is on streaming. Yeah,
streaming. So I don't understand. Last thing, are you tired of multiverse stories? Are you over it? Is it too much? I know I had to throw that in there.
A little bit. I am a little bit like multiverse out, but I at least appreciate whenever a multiverse story comes to our screen, it's giving us a little bit more about what the rules are. So like we knew what canon events were from What If, but like this made it super crystal clear that like this is something that we're going to need to talk about. Like I wonder if canon events is going to come into like the Loki series.
I think so.
That would be interesting.
I don't know. Because I feel like also the MCU is like moving on their own separate rules and stuff. So
That's a good point.
I think they're
That's a good
also
point.
trying to still figure it out. So I think that's the big part of it. Like you, I am a bit multiversed out as well, but watching them do this story so masterfully gives me hope in it. But I think MCU wise, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Everything Everywhere All at Once I thought was brilliant, so I rock with it.
Because we're about to get it again with the Flash, aren't we?
We are. The Flashpoint story basically is a timeline multiverse kind of story. So yeah.
Anyways,
I kind of miss just streamlined stories, Like I just can we go back to that a little bit? But then I guess when you do that, you get stuff like Morbius. So who knows?
Morbius could have been good too. It's like unfortunate because they had good actors.
They did.
Like it's just the storyline was just not it,
Right.
or the way they cut it, it just wasn't it. I don't know. Yeah,
It is what it is. Yes, we did it. We did the thing. We definitely went way over time than we planned.
by an hour.
But it's such a good movie. It's such a good story.
It is.
So many things to pick apart. I wouldn't have it any other way, and I wouldn't discuss it. I wouldn't want to discuss it with anybody else but you.
But you definitely did, didn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. But I'm glad that you are in my life to have the more in-depth conversations with.
Whatever.
You're my number one. You're my superstar. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us in our conversation about Across the Spider-Verse. We had to dive into all of the things, and I'm happy that you guys took this ride with us. Make sure to follow us on our socials at Casual Fangirls _. We are on YouTube, Instagram, the TikTokies, all the good stuff. Comment, like, subscribe, do all of the things. We are obviously excited to hear from you guys what you thought about the movie, what you thought about our discussion. What do you think is going to happen in the next one? Are you excited about it? Lord, please let it come out on time because this writer strike, I don't know how it can affect it, where we are in the process of production, post-production, but hopefully it comes out. It's been amazing talking with my partner in crime here about this movie, and we have lots more to come. So make sure you stay tuned. I am Nessa.
And I'm T. And for the record, I would be your guy in the chair.
Thank you.
I have a chair. I like it.
Because I would definitely need the guidance 100%.
You would.
Yeah. Well, dang, you didn't have to say it like that. But yeah, no, I know it's true, but you don't have to say it out loud. But thank you guys for joining us. We will be back very soon with more fandom things to talk about. Y'all have a great one. See you soon. We are the Casual Fangirls.
Bye-bye.